Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to Gale FFTCG. I'm Serah, your host, and today we're talking about Lightning. I am just going to caveat this. I don't feel like Lightning got a lot of good stuff to keep up with everything else that's going on. Obviously, more than happy to be proven wrong on that front, but it just feels like they still don't want to give Lightning enough love. It feels listless. It feels like it doesn't quite have an identity, and to me, that just feels a little bit sad. So, that being said, there are some really interesting cards here, and I think they're worth exploring. So, let's jump straight in with 5 CP Odin. It's an EX burst. You choose forward opponent controls, and you break it. Seems pretty simple, but you have to remove as many cards from the top of your deck from the game as the CP required to cast the chosen forward. This is really strange to me. I think there are some decks that will probably want this. X-Death is insane with it. It's really interesting because obviously X-Death getting a lot of power off of stuff. If you can use this to, I don't know, kill something, a 7 CP thing, and remove 7, you're already really far ahead in setting up the X-Death turn kills. I know Steve D of the YYT is very interested in that. So I think that's at least a noteworthy common. I don't know if it will see play again, but I think this is probably the best we're going to get in the commons bracket at the moment. For our rare, 2 CP Behemoth, FFT. When one or more forwards you control attacks, you can put Behemoth in the break zone. When Behemoth is put from the field into the break zone, choose a forward you control, and until end of turn, it gains if this forward deals damage to your opponent other than by its ability, the damage becomes 2 instead. I think this is fun for aggro decks, but I don't necessarily know if I like it. I think it has merit in the kind of decks that are, that like 13, for example, where you throw down a lightning and then you attack with the lightning and then it deals 2 damage and then you deal an additional damage on the stack, things like that. Like, there's some cool ways of doing that. Obviously, Behemoth doesn't trigger with abilities, so it would be lightning's damage, and then the damage would just hit, and it would be 2. But I don't know how I feel about this card. I think time will tell more than anything, but I don't expect it to see a lot of play. I just think this card is funny. I wasn't particularly jazzed by any of the cards in this element for the hero slot, but I thought this one was funny, and you know what? The art's really cool. So, Valagamaranda, see? Told you it's a funny card. 4 CP summon. You choose 1 forward, you dull it, and you freeze it. It loses 9k power until end of turn, then deal that thing 9k damage. It's a whole ton of overkill, and I think that's just funny. It's just like, bam, 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 bam. The thing is probably going to die. If it doesn't die, it's going to be dull frozen. You're going to have like a crazy tempo swing. But the fact it costs 4 just seems a little bit bad. I'm not going to lie. I think in this case, you really need to... Lightning needs cheap cards, or this card needs to be an EX burst to even remotely see play. And I just don't think it's any of those things, unfortunately. But the art is cool, and it's a fun little effect. So, yeah. Now, here is a lightning card I think is incredible. In our legend slot, we have Jack Garland. This, I think, one of my friends put it best. This is the most interesting of this type of effect we have, and I think that's always worth looking at. For CP9K, Jack Garland. It's a job chaos too, which is interesting for that chaos deck that's been very prevalent recently. When Jack Garland is also Garland in all situations, but that's not super important. You can pitch him for Garland specials, I guess. I don't know. The forward opponent control must attack once per turn if possible. I think that's particularly interesting. It puts your opponent in bad spots. The forward's opponent control must block if possible. Also very interesting of putting your opponent in bad spots. When a character opponent controls is put from the field into the break zone, you gain a crystal. So killing things, having removal, gaining crystals, all of that seems pretty fun. Being able to influence combat. I like those effects. I think they're interesting. But unfortunately, they just don't seem very supported right now. So maybe give it time. Maybe this will be more supportive. But I feel a little bit underwhelmed. I'm not gonna lie. I think Lightning really, it needs a good helping hand, not just a helping hand to make it good with ice. It needs something more, and I'm not sure what that is. I hope Kageyama and the team can figure that out. But yeah, these are my thoughts on the Lightning Rarity review. Yeah, let me know what cards you are excited for in the comments below, and I will look into those. And yeah, this is the last video in the Rarity review for Hidden Legends, so let me know what decks you want to see. I already have a couple of ideas, but I always want to hear from you. Until next time, have a great day and a great rest of your week.